Welcome back to Obscurus Gaming, and we're taking a look at one of the most curious releases I have ever seen for the Switch, Trash Sailors. This is a frantic couch and online co-op game that involves a team of up to 4 cartoony sailors traverse a flooded universe without sinking the raft. Visually, the game is as unique as it plays, but that is not all that makes this game a curiosity. At the time of this review, Trash Sailors can only be played physically for the Switch, which I found a bit odd. The eShop listing for the game still says releasing in 2022, but news for the game in general is extremely sparse. The developer's website, Fluky Machine Games, no longer exists, and there have been 0 tweets or Discord updates since February of this year. The last post I could find at all was one of the 2 developers tweeting out a Ukrainian flag, and digging even deeper than that, they list themselves as being located in Poland and Ukraine. So I can only hope that everyone involved with the project is safe, and that has to be the reason information is as sparse as it is. The physical edition was picked up by Tiny Build Games and published by Merge Games, so perhaps they would know more about the history of this game if anyone was curious enough to reach out. Regardless, let's take a look at Trash Sailors. I am a bit of a sucker for couch co-op games, and if any of you are coming over for my top couch co-op Switch games, then you know I've had my eyes on Trash Sailors for a while, but for reasons mentioned earlier, the Switch release kept getting pushed back. Now, I don't usually talk about art and visuals of games first, but it's hard to start anywhere else but there. The hand-drawn storybook style of Trash Sailors is awesome, and fits perfectly with the tone, music, and audio of the game in general. As you progress, the game introduces additional elements that further enhance the art style, such as animals and other enemies that try to jump on your raft, waves that crash over your ship, or just changes in lighting. The result is a marionette experience that is unlike anything I have ever seen before, in the best of ways. But what do you actually do in Trash Sailors? Well, the story mode involves your team of sailors manning a bit of a rinky-dink raft after the universe was flooded, with the main goal being going from the starting point to the end point on a given level. There really is no story except for the rare animated cutscene, but it doesn't really matter. The challenge to the game lies in what you need to do to keep your raft afloat and sailors safe. Some of these activities include steering the raft, repairing damages, fighting off enemies, and fishing for trash, which, true to the game's name, acts as both fuel and currency. As you progress in the game, the 20 or so levels become harder and harder, with more elements added in to manage, offset by upgrades to your raft. This includes options like a powerful light to help navigate and scare enemies, or an anchor to slow down your ship and make it easier to fish for specific items. The most important of what you can fish out of the water are treasure maps, which when collected allow you to move on to the next level in the game. The resulting gameplay here is incredibly frantic, which may or may not be appealing to you. If you want to spend time fishing for the exact trash that the grinder and engine require on your raft, you can do so, but you will be interrupted by enemies to fight and the other responsibilities, or you will end up with a low score at best and a sinking raft at worst. Whether or not you find this style of gaming fun or annoying mostly comes down to your own preferences. For me, after I got through the learning curve of understanding what the game was throwing at me and some trial and error moments, I thought this skewed extremely fun. There were plenty of moments where we got right to our breaking point, but did just enough to move on. That being said, you will absolutely be overwhelmed at some point, which may drag down the experience for some. This happens probably a bit too much in single player, which even when given a second computer player to assist, there can be a bit too much going on to control at once. Luckily, the game does feature modifications to the gameplay for those looking for a more relaxed experience, which in turn helps balance the game some more for solo players. Probably my biggest quip with Trash Sailors is just the fact that there really isn't a ton to do. I can look past the occasional gameplay frustrations easily, mostly because the highs in the game are really an awesome time. Where I think it stumbles a bit is with its overall offerings, especially for a $35 game. The main story mode only has one save file, which is a bit annoying if you want to play different styles using the gameplay modifiers, or in my case, wanting to have separate files for single and multiplayer. The only thing to do at all besides story mode is to replay levels in online party mode, which is nice but doesn't really change anything. There's also something called a chaos mode, so many levels have a much more intense version of the same level for anyone that is interested in playing those. I unfortunately was unable to test the online feature fully, so hopefully that does work for those who are interested there. In terms of what would have made the game a more complete package, would have been some sort of endless mode, or a high score mode, or just some even additional mini games or modes to give something else to do. In the end, Trash Sailors is a great time with several very important qualifiers. First, you intend to play the game locally with at least 2 players. Secondly, you're not a perfectionist and don't mind occasional technical oddities at the expense of creativity. And last, you don't mind shelling out $35 for what amounts to a short, albeit mostly fun experience. If those 3 things sound like you, then pick up Trash Sailors today. Just remember it's only available physically at the time of this review. But if not, then consider waiting for a lower price point of entry, or wait until the digital game may or may not release later this year. Thanks for watching everyone, and peace out.